Welcome back to Old Charles, the channel where we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare and historic coins. Today, we're going to explore a coin from the United Kingdom that holds both historical importance and collectible value. The 1966 UK 2 shilling coin, also known as the Florin. Stay tuned, because we're going to talk about its history, design, condition, and of course, how much this coin is really worth today. Before we talk about value, let's step back in time and look at the history behind this coin. The 2 shilling coin, often called the Florin, was first introduced in 1849 during the reign of Queen Victoria. It was originally part of a trial to introduce decimal coinage in Britain, since the Florin was worth 1/10 of a pound sterling by the year 1966. The coin featured Queen Elizabeth II, as it was struck during the early years of her reign. These coins were part of the pre-decimal British system, where 12 pence made a shilling **, 20 shillings made a pound **. This meant that the 2 shilling coin was worth 1/10 of a pound. The 1966 issue was among the last of the pre-decimal florins, because only a few years later, in 1971, the UK fully adopted decimal currency, and the florin eventually transitioned into what we know as the 10 pence coin. So, in many ways, the 1966 2 shilling coin is both the end of an era and a bridge into the modern UK decimal system. Now let's look at the design details. Obverse, front ***, it features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Mary Gillick. This young portrait of the Queen is iconic, showing her wearing a laurel wreath, symbolizing peace and victory. Reverse, back ***, the coin shows a beautiful Tudor rose in the center, surrounded by thistles, shamrocks, and leeks, representing England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. Around the edge, the inscription reads, FID Def 2 shillings 1966. The design was simple yet symbolic, showcasing unity across the United Kingdom. Here are some quick details about the coin specifications. Year: 1966. Metal: cupronickel, 75% copper, 25% nickel. Weight: 11.3 grams. Diameter: 28.5 mm. Edge: milled. Unlike older florins, the 1966 version did not contain silver. Pre-1947 2 shilling coins contained silver, which makes them much more valuable. But by 1966, the coin was purely cupronickel, intended for everyday use. Now, let's answer the big question. How much is this coin worth today? Since millions of these coins were minted, they are not considered rare. However, collectors still enjoy owning them, especially in higher grades. The value depends heavily on condition. Circulated condition * around £0.50 to £1 GBP, or about $1 to $1.50 USD. Very fine condition *** between £1.50 to £3 sterling. Extremely fine to almost uncirculated condition * about £4 to £6 sterling. Uncirculated or brilliant uncirculated BU can fetch £8 to £12 GBP, sometimes even more if it's in a presentation pack. Oh, while this coin isn't extremely rare, collectors who want a complete set of pre-decimal coins or coins from the reign of Queen Elizabeth II will still pay a good price for one in pristine condition. Condition is everything in coin collecting. Here's what you should look for. Circulated coins ** will often have scratches, wear on the Queen's hair, and flattening of the Tudor rose design. Well-preserved coins ** with sharp details and minimal wear are far more desirable. Brilliant uncirculated coins ** with their original shine are the true gems for collectors. Additionally, collectors love complete date runs. So if you have the 1966 2 shilling as part of a larger pre-decimal set, it adds extra appeal. In conclusion, the 1966 UK 2 shilling coin may not make you rich, but it is a fascinating piece of British history. It represents the final years of the pre-decimal system, the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, and the long heritage of the florin that began way back in the Victorian era. For collectors, owning this coin is like holding on to a little piece of history, a coin that once circulated widely across Britain in the mid-20th century, before the big change to decimalization. So, what do you think about the 1966 2 shilling coin? Do you have one in your collection? Let me know in the comments below. To really understand the 1966 2 shilling coin, we need to go back over a century and look at the fascinating story of the florin, a coin with one of the longest-running histories in British currency. The florin, also known as the 2 shilling coin, was first introduced in 1849, during the reign of Queen Victoria. At the time, Britain was still using the old pre-decimal system, where 12 pence made 1 shilling, 20 shillings made 1 pound. This made calculations difficult, especially when compared to other countries who had already moved towards simpler decimal systems. The introduction of the florin was actually an experiment in decimalization. Since it was worth 1/10th of a pound, many people thought it could pave the way toward a full decimal currency in Britain. However, while decimalization wouldn't fully arrive until 1971, the florin remained a permanent part of the currency system for more than 120 years. The early florins, minted in the Victorian era, contained 92.5% silver, what collectors call sterling silver. From 1920, the silver content was reduced to 50%, and after 1947, all 2 shilling coins were struck in cupronickel instead of silver. That's why the 1966 florin, struck entirely in cupronickel, doesn't have intrinsic silver value but still holds great historical significance. By the time we reach 1966, the florin was struck under the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, who had been on the throne since 1952. The coin carried the youthful portrait of the Queen, designed by the sculptor Mary Gillick. This design was much admired for its elegance, showing Elizabeth with a laurel wreath, a symbol of victory and honor, rather than a crown. The 1966 florin also came at an important moment in British history. The mid-1960s were a time of great change. The economy was shifting, Britain was modernizing rapidly, and conversations about decimalization were growing louder. In fact, within just 5 years after 1966, the decimal day of 1971 would arrive, and the 2 shilling coin would officially be replaced by the new 10-pence coin. What makes the 1966 florin particularly interesting is that it represents the last regular issues of the coin in its traditional form. After decimalization, the 2 shilling coin and the new 10-pence piece were exactly the same in size, metal, and weight, so the old florins continued to circulate for decades, right up until the early 1990s when the 10p was reduced in size. This means that many people alive today still remember spending the very same 1966 florin in shops well into the 1980s. It's also worth noting that the reverse design of the 1966 2 shilling coin is steeped in symbolism. The Tudor rose, placed at the center, is surrounded by thistles, shamrocks, and leeks, representing the 4 nations of the United Kingdom: England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. This design was created by the talented engraver Edgar Fuller and modeled by Cecil Thomas, and it emphasizes the unity of the UK under one monarchy. So, when you hold a 1966 2 shilling coin, you're not just holding a piece of metal. You're holding the legacy of Queen Victoria's first experiment with decimal currency in 1849. A coin that survived 2 world wars and changes in silver content. A design that bridged the old world of pre-decimal money and the new age of modern currency. And a piece of everyday British life from the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, at a time when the world was on the brink of massive change. When it comes to coin collecting, one of the most important factors that determines value is condition. For the 1966 2 shilling coin, condition can make the difference between a coin worth just a few pennies and one worth several pounds or even more to the right collector. Let's break this down carefully. The lowest end of the scale, we have coins that are considered heavily worn. These are coins that have been in circulation for decades and show clear signs of use. The Queen's portrait may be almost flat, the details of her hair and laurel wreath are barely visible, and on the reverse, the Tudor rose and surrounding emblems are very faded. The lettering around the edge of the coin might be worn down, and scratches, dents, or discoloration from years of handling are common. In this state, the coin usually only holds sentimental or historical value rather than strong monetary worth, often just £0.20 to £0.50. Coins in this category still show noticeable wear, but the major details are clear. On the obverse, you can still recognize Queen Elizabeth II's portrait, though fine details in the wreath and facial features are beginning to disappear. The reverse still shows the Tudor rose and the floral symbols of the UK, but the sharpness of the petals and leaves is reduced. Many coins you'll find in old drawers or change jars fall into this category. Value typically ranges around £0.50 to £1.50, depending on overall eye appeal. Here's where collectors start to get more interested. A coin in very fine condition has been circulated, but only lightly. Most of the design details are intact. On the obverse, the Queen's hair strands and laurel wreath are still visible, though slightly softened from use. On the reverse, the Tudor rose still shows good detail, and the thistles, shamrocks, and leeks can be distinguished clearly. The coin may have lost some of its original luster, but overall, it's still attractive. A 1966 2 shilling in very fine condition can sell £4 1.50 to £3. Coins in this grade are quite impressive. They may have been in circulation for only a short period of time or handled very carefully. Almost all details of the Queen's portrait are sharp, and the reverse design is crisp, with the Tudor rose petals and national emblems standing out clearly. There may be only slight wear on the highest points of the coin, and the fields, the flat background areas, remain relatively clean with minimal marks. Coins in extremely fine condition are noticeably more valuable, usually fetching £3 to £6. This grade, the coin looks nearly perfect but shows the faintest trace of wear on only the highest points of the design, often visible only under magnification. The coin may still retain some original mint luster, giving it a bright appearance. Collectors appreciate coins in this condition because they represent the best possible examples that circulated only briefly. A 1966 florin in AU condition could be worth £6 to £8 or more. Finally, we reach the highest level of preservation, coins that have never been in circulation. These coins were often set aside immediately after minting or kept in presentation packs. In uncirculated condition, the coin shows full detail with absolutely no wear, and often still shines with the original mint luster. Brilliant uncirculated coins are the pinnacle, flawless examples with sharp detail, smooth surfaces, and an attractive sheen. Collectors are willing to pay much more for these coins, typically in the range of £8 to £12 GBP, though sometimes higher if the coin is perfectly struck or part of a complete mint set. Some older 1966 florins develop a natural tone or patina over time. While heavy discoloration may reduce value, attractive toning, a rainbow or golden hue, can actually increase a coin's appeal. Coins that are bent, holed, cleaned with abrasive materials, or otherwise damaged lose significant collector interest. Even if they appear shiny, harsh cleaning can destroy their value. Coins that have been kept in albums, plastic sleeves, or coin flips tend to survive in better condition than those left loose in drawers or boxes. As you can see, condition really is everything when it comes to the 1966 2-shilling coin. A heavily worn example may only be worth face value to collectors, but a pristine, brilliant, uncirculated coin can fetch up to 10 times as much. That's why it's always important to examine your coin carefully, compare it to grading guides, and when in doubt, get a professional numismatist to assess it.